All right, we're back. We are, let's see. Yeah, mic seems to be working. Looks like they came off the waiting screen, so I figured go ahead and fire it up. Thanks for joining. Get all my stuff set up here. Let me see what we got. What's up? Let's see. Okay. Oh, man. Welcome, Life with Beanie, to the chat. It's actually my daughter, y'all. We got some reaction videos of us playing scary games together, and she's joining us. But we monitor her YouTube account. She has her own channel called Life with Beanie, and she makes more videos than I do, probably. We are in West Virginia, Tamara, is that right? But yeah. Let's see here. I'm getting oh man, I got a really good picture of Michael from somebody they sent me. Look, that's Michael. People just keep sending me really nice stuff that's not really anywhere. But I'm going through now, talking with a guy, getting him on the podcast. Him and his family were, so apparently there's a football league that Natalie was accusing people. She was accusing other people in the football league of taking money out of the football league. So I'm getting a bunch of information there about some people talking about that. So I knew about the youth baseball league, but I did not know. I don't know much about the football situation. So apparently, the sports scandals, the local sports scandals, was what led to the ultimate Ponzi scheme investigation. And it sounds like it kind of got overshadowed and just dropped because they ran into all these millions of dollars. So all these people that were accused in these sports leagues basically went through audits, and sounds like not, I don't think much happened. But anyway, I'm watching the trial over here. We're showing the close up of the eagle on the flag. So when it pops up, I'll be sure to share the screen. I wish I could get my volume good. I know I listened to the stream from before, and I'll make sure to hit pause before I talk because it just sounds like a mess. But let's go ahead and fire up another poll here for people that are coming in. Natalie Cochran. I was trying to do a poll on Court TV, and they worded it weird. They did a yes or no question. It was like, will she receive mercy or will she get life? And then it had yes or no. And I was like, So we will see. Just a quick recap. We had some Chick-fil-A for lunch. Life with Beanie is actually homesick today. So anyway, quick recap. First half of the trial was not good for the defense, in my opinion. There was a lot of shade thrown at Michael Cochran, which upset. Oh, here we go. We're back. Let me go ahead and share here. Which one is this? Hang on. One second, y'all. Let me make sure I share the right screen. Okay. All right, that's right. Let's go ahead and go live here. Got the audio going. Yeah, I don't guess I was gonna go to that law and crime channel that y'all were talking about, but I don't guess it's they're having it. I didn't see it anyway. If you see it, let me know. But so anyway, a lot of shade thrown at Michael, in my opinion. They even had Daphne, Natalie's mom, on the stand, who eventually said she was not guilty of any financial crime at all. And she kind of pointed the blame towards Michael for the financial crimes. She said she was watching War Dogs, which is a movie where two guys, it's based on a true story, but two guys end up getting a government contract for weapons for like $300 million. And she said, she told him, don't do anything wrong or something like that. And he's like, oh, I won't, is what she said. So I was like, where are we at right now? But I don't know. Ain't looking too good for him. It looks like the clock is on screen now. So maybe, I'm not sure if they decided. I bet they'll be back at 1:15. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, if y'all get bored, me and Nora, Life with Beanie, it's my daughter. She for whoever's new, she's on here. We talk about stuff and have open conversations about stuff like this. So say what you want there, but we also play scary games. We have some playthroughs of some fun scary games. Probably the funnest one to watch is the Cabin Factory. So if you get bored, feel free to check it out. It's me and her playing scary games and me getting scared. Like, she does really good. I get terrified. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Shared. All right. No Fallout 76. We were very upset with that game. When it released, it was just a nightmare. We was all excited. Fallout 76 was coming out, and for those who don't know, Fallout 76 is really the first game based in West Virginia. I don't know of any other one, but it was like John Denver Country Roads was on the trailer. Everyone was hyped, and it released and it bombed. It was because I think it was the first game that Bethesda decided to go full online. Like, you play the game and there's people running around playing the game while you're playing it. And I think it just was a nightmare for them. But yeah, I didn't play it long. All right, here we go. All rise. see how this.
All right, are there any matters that we need to discuss at this time?
Equipment for our case in
Okay.
penalty phase.
Opening up the projector.
Nothing from the defense.
Nothing from the defense.
Very good. Bring in the jury.
I'm gonna post this photo that someone sent in of Michael.
All right, now we will hear testimony and evidence presented by the state. Mr. Truman, please call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State called Stephanie Hamilton.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat.
You are Stephanie Hamilton,
I am Stephanie Hamilton.
and the jury has already heard your testimony previously, but we're now in the penalty phase, and that involves the character of the defendant. Could you describe just briefly your relationship with the defendant?
I met her through the Youth Football League. Mike was one of our son's coaches, and I met her through that, and we became friends.
Were you pretty good friends?
I thought so.
You thought so. And did some things happen that led you to change your mind on that?
Yes.
Tell us what that was.
She lied to us. She manipulated us. My son.
We're going to rough check this. Unless we
Here
have
we go.
some specific
You can throw
testimony.
shade on Michael.
We just
All right, perhaps we should establish a foundation as to who, what, when, and where, Mr. Truman.
Yes, sir. Ms. Hamilton, you indicated that the defendant lied to you. Can you tell the jury some specifics as to that?
Well, our son was very sick, and he had just went through a really bad surgery. We thought we were facing cancer. He was 13 at the time, and we didn't know what we were going to be facing with him. And she used that situation to talk about the contracts working for her so I could stay at home more with my son. And, we gave money. There was always, promises of money, more money. And there was never money.
So you're talking about the investment with the defendant, and you were never paid back. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. The jury may recall that you are a physician's assistant, and you explained to them in general terms what that did.
Right.
Did the defendant utilize your position as a physician's assistant and take advantage of you on some occasions?
Yes, I mean, she had asked me for medication once. She used my position for her cover.
Explain
And
that. Sorry. When you say that, used your position as cover, what did you mean by that?
the day of Michael's sickness.
And how did she go about using you as cover?
Telling everyone that she had me there as the provider.
I'm going to object. We need to approach the bench on this one.
All right. Man, are you kidding me? I mean, it's only fitting. It's only fitting that they object Michael Cochran's side of witnesses. When, if you notice, the prosecution didn't even object to any of the shade thrown at Michael. And you shouldn't at this phase. Like, people should be able to talk. I mean, this looks so bad. This looks so bad. Can someone tell them that this doesn't help? I mean, I think they've already lost their chance. They needed someone to get up there and say she was guilty. They did
Thank
the
you.
exact opposite.
You can go ahead and answer that question.
Telling investigators that I was there as the provider that checked Michael. She had a provider there, named me, used that for her
Oh, I
cover.
didn't notice that, Kathy. I'll hit pause here real quick. Kathy said that the family all left. I didn't pay attention. Thanks for that. Makes sense. But maybe, I can't remember if I saw Donna. I don't know if anyone saw Donna. Remind me if she was listening. But yeah, I didn't notice that.
Do you have some survivor's guilt or witness guilt in terms of Michael having died and you were present at the time or on the day that he fell?
What is it now? I'm
Do
sorry.
you have some survivor's guilt over that?
I think we all do, hindsight. But when you think about the events of the day and you go there and she tells a story, and I didn't know his history. I didn't know anything about what the situation was there. I was there briefly. And I advised her, what she should do, and made many efforts to make suggestions to go here, to go there, we'll go here. And she was not going to take that. But as a friend, you don't think that someone has done something to their husband.
That's all questions the state has. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
You said you lost some money in investing in Natalie Cochran's business, right?
Yes.
How much did you lose?
It's somewhere between $15,000-$17,000.
Never recovered that money, right?
Right.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
Anything further?
A follow-up to that, when did you make that investment?
And I think the first time was in January of 2019, mid-January.
And did you put the number you just gave defense counsel, was that all up front or did you
No,
take that
over
up?
time.
Was some of it after Michael died?
Yes.
That's all the questions the state had.
So in those increments, you lost what, $17,000?
Yes.
So when did you first learn that you were scammed?
After I started realizing there was multiple excuses as to why there wasn't anything coming back.
And you thought about all those increments of money that you paid Natalie or whoever, the company, right?
What is it?
And you thought about all those increments of money that you paid to the company, right?
I knew there was. I had never added it up until the end.
And that made you really mad.
No, actually, I was more hurt of the lies than the
And
money.
you were still mad and hurt, right?
No, I'm not mad
No,
and
you're not.
hurt.
All right.
I feel like we're trying the case right now. Like they know they lost, right? Like everyone knows that Natalie Cochran was guilty of murder, right? My goodness.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor. Thank
You
you.
may step down, ma'am. Thank you. Call your next witness, Mr. Truman.
Your Honor, the state calls John Hamilton to the stand.
You'll raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can have a seat right there. All right, Ms. Anger.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you please state your name for the record?
John David Hamilton.
And we've already heard you testify here previously in the case in chief. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran?
Through youth football.
And did you know her husband, Michael Cochran, as well?
Yes, Michael's a good friend of mine.
How do you feel about losing Mike?
I mean, losing Mike is bad on everybody. Donna, we lost a son, a father, a coach, and a friend.
And how has that affected you to lose him?
I mean, every day, you know, you think about it, at least I do. And you go to someone's house as a friend, they call you over to help them. Just like my wife said, you take your friends at face value. You don't ever think that your friends are going to try to kill their husband or anything like that. You just take them at face value because why would they? These are people you went to football games with, you've ate pizza with, you've hung out with.
So along that same line, how have the defendant's actions with regard to Michael affected your life? How have they made you feel?
I mean, it's every day it's something there, you know. I mean, just like today, Steph gets a message from somebody saying that, you know, oh, we can't believe that you guys just let Michael lay there and this and that. The story we got was Michael had a seizure. I went there to help Mike, get him off the floor, get him on the couch. I sit there, I told Natalie to let's take him to the hospital. Natalie told me she wouldn't let him sleep it off.
Would the court give me a continuous
Yes, I did.
in this case as well?
Certainly. The exception is fully preserved. Continue, please, Ms. Anger.
So would you say that the defendant's actions and Michael's death have affected your daily life?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah.
And you and your wife are receiving some blame for that, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about the role that you played on February 6th of 2019?
As far as, and like what I wish I would have did or just what happened?
As far as how you became involved, what do you feel in hindsight, looking back on that day?
Well, I mean, you think about it almost every day, and you really wish you could have did something different. But given the information you have at the time, you know, you feel horrible, especially for Donna, the kids, this and that. Like I said, they lost a father. You know, Donna lost a son. I lost a friend.
I think that's good for us. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Victor.
Mr. Hamilton, did you lose any money on to Michael and Natalie Cochran's business?
My wife made investments, sir, but yes, as a family, we did.
Okay. Now,
What does this prove? Like, why does this keep coming up? I mean, it was part of the motive. It was. I just don't know what to say about it anymore. It's just you're mad at her. That's why you want her to go to prison for life. No, she's a murderer.
how is your testimony today different from the testimony that you testified to at trial? How is it
As
different?
As far as what, sir?
Well, you're pretty much recalling the events of the day, right?
Yes, sir.
That's all.
Anything further to say?
Just one question.
Go ahead.
During the case in chief and your cross-examination, were you ever actually given an opportunity to say how any of this made you feel?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
You said something on direct concerning the children losing their father.
Yes.
They also lost the mother, right?
Yes, because she killed their father.
I didn't ask you why, sir. I asked you a simple question.
Yes.
You don't like Natalie Cochran, do you?
I don't like that she killed Mike.
Do you not like Natalie Cochran?
I wouldn't say I like her or dislike her, sir. As far as I'm concerned right now, sir, she's a criminal.
So the answer is no, I don't like her. Is it?
If you want to put it that way, sir.
Anything further?
What's the goal here? Like, the case is tried. He's getting up like he's trying the case still. The point here is for them to say why she should not get mercy. And the prosecution let them sit up there and ask all these questions that had all their witnesses throwing shade at the victim who's dead. This is crazy.
Sit down, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Call your next witness, Mr. Truman.
Christopher Davis.
Y'all can see Josie that's on the show. She's right behind the guy with the white hair. I don't know if y'all can see her, but
If you'll raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat right there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Truman.
Thank you. You are Chris Davis,
Yes, sir.
and you had testified before this jury previously. Tell us your relationship with Michael Cochran.
Mike was one of my best friends. And, we did a lot together and spent a lot of time together. And, we not only personally, but we coached sports together.
put yourself in the mind of what Chris has to live with. And this is not his fault, obviously, but he brought the bag to the house that had the insulin in it. He didn't know it did, but his wife did, and they were just letting him borrow it because that's what you do when you're good friends. So keep in mind what he has to live with, knowing that he brought, he ended up bringing the eventual murder weapon to the house. And again, he didn't know this. It's not his fault at all. But imagine living with that.
And, vacation together. And he was he is a dear friend.
You miss him?
I do. Mike was he was a very strong man. He's a good man. And he would want me to be strong now as well. And he was a good man. A very good man. He wasn't the best father, the best friend, or the best husband. But I'm not either. But he's not what you heard he was. He loved his family. He took care of his family. He loved his friends. He loved his community. Spent a lot of time in the community.
It's over.
He loved life. He wasn't sick. He wasn't ready to die. He was healthy. Even up until the day he died. He had plans. He had lots of plans. He was doing lots of things. Couldn't wait to the things he was doing. And that was also for his family.
Let me shift gears totally with you. You and a couple other fellas gave some money to the defendant in this case. Correct?
We did, yes.
What was the total amount you gave her?
It was $511,000.
And how much of that did you get back?
The exact amount we got back, I'm not sure. I think it was probably around 50 or 60. And the reason I don't know is because there at the end, she was trying to send wires, and some would come, some wouldn't come, and some would. So it's somewhere in that
I
area.
object and I have the same continuing objection as in the other situation.
Go ahead, continue.
Good.
Right, Chris.
And so the exact amount that we got back, I'm not for sure. I think it was probably, like I said, 50 or 60.
Did the three investors, did you give any money to the defendant?
Think about that. $500,000, y'all. $500,000. They trusted this person. And then she kills his best friend.
Defendant after Mike died?
No, we did not. We were given the opportunity to reinvest. I mean, so we didn't give any additional money, but the idea to reinvest, I guess you could say we gave her that because we said, whatever, sure. I mean, it doesn't matter. During that time, there was so much stuff coming back and forth. We were trying to figure this out and trying to figure out one. And so, but there were reinvestment opportunities offered. And
Who offered you the reinvestment opportunities?
Natalie?
And that was after Mike died?
Yes.
Is it fair to say you were a strong supporter of the defendant until you found out that things were not what you thought they would, what they appeared to be?
Yeah, I believe that's fair because we trusted her. As my wife testified as well, we trusted her.
Was that trust violated?
Yeah, because, we trusted her with the most precious thing to us, our family, our son, our kid, with respect, because as Jennifer said, she would ask her questions about diabetes and things like that. And so, yeah, that was absolutely violated, even on the day that the way she perpetrated it to Jennifer to even get insulin, and that lie that was perpetrated, and even throughout this trial, attempted to continue to lie about that. And
I'm going to object again, because we're not,
Object all you want, Mr. Victor, but continuing now to lie and not even admit that she stole all this money. She had people up there saying that she's not guilty of the financial crime. Oh my God, it's over.
retrying this case because I'm really sorry, but this
I think I have to sustain that objection.
and the idea that she was never given, she never kept insulin for our son.
Why would you?
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not this jury should grant mercy to this defendant?
I think this jury has been here for 3 weeks. And this jury's heard everything they need to know. They don't need my opinion, don't need my thoughts.
No.
You don't need me preaching at you. You know what you know. So with all due respect, I don't have opinion for these folks. I thank you. I know Mike would thank you.
It's over.
It's all the questions today, guys. Thank you.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Victor.
Mr. Davis, I only have a couple of questions. In your, when was the first time that you and your family met Natalie Cochran and Michael Cochran? Just give me a year if you.
I'm going to say 2011 or 2010.
Okay. So would you agree with me, sir, that throughout these years, you and your family and Natalie Cochran and her family became friends? You were neighbors and you were friends.
Absolutely.
And you did a lot of things together, right?
Absolutely.
That included Natalie Cochran, right?
Absolutely.
And well, dinners, maybe some holidays, almost daily. You were in some contact with Natalie and Mike, right? Maybe
Yes.
not daily, but.
I mean, to get to your question that you're getting at, we knew these folks very well.
Okay.
Yes, and we're daily contact, whether it was me contacting Mike daily or my wife contacting Natalie
Right.
daily. Yes, there was friend interaction. a
Now,
lot.
would you agree with me, sir, that throughout those years, you had an opportunity to observe Natalie Cochran's good deeds? She was active in the community. She was involved in sports teams, supplying money for it. She was in Bible school. She was a pharmacist, helping people, giving lectures, et cetera, et cetera. Did you have that opportunity before you started realizing that something was awry?
Well, to answer your question directly, you started it out, I would agree with you. I don't agree with you.
Okay, all right.
So now let me further state, I witnessed a lot of deeds, good, bad. The reason that I can't say I agree with you because I can't sit here and say that I believe any of those deeds were done in good, bad, or irrelevant fashion because
Okay.
the truth of the matter is, was it a lie then as it is a lie now? Or was some of it true?
All right.
Or was some of it false?
M-
So we don't agree.
Okay. Mr. Davis, let me ask you this. Did you ever see Natalie being involved in any volunteer work?
We were all involved in
No, I mean,
volunteer
no,
work.
please answer my question. Have you ever seen her involved in any volunteer work?
Chris is exactly right. I mean, he's basically saying, you say all these things that were also could have been easily lies. Like, we don't know this person. I mean, this whole thing of like, oh, yeah, she went to Zimbabwe and then she, knitted socks for homeless cats, whatever it is. Like, that's not who this person is.
Work,
We were all involved in volunteer work.
Your Honor. This is
All right, please answer the question pertaining to Natalie, if you would, Mr. Davis.
Volunteer work requires you to do that because you're doing it for the benefit of others. And therefore, it's hard for me to answer, was it volunteer or not? That's a very subjective question. And although I don't answer it the way you want me to, I can tell you subjectively, was it volunteer? I don't know. But I do know there was activity. I don't know if it was volunteer
Clarifying, she was wearing that mask, that public mask.
or not.
Your Honor, I move to strike that answer as non-responsive. Did Natalie ever help people with her pharmaceutical skills?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did she ever, maybe
Okay, Zambia, is that how you pronounce that? Sorry, y'all. I thought they said Zimbabwe earlier.
you don't agree with me on this, but prior to the events of the federal case, she led a crime-free life, didn't she?
I have no idea she was committing crimes throughout her life.
Okay. But you have no way of knowing whether she was convicted of any crimes prior to the federal conviction.
I'm unaware if she was ever convicted of any crimes.
Okay. Now, you were also friends, I presume you knew her children, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Especially her son.
And her parents, I presume also.
I did know them.
Okay. And yet you testified against her in federal court. At her sentencing.
Yes, because we were the victims of her Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
And therefore, they requested a victim statement.
And then, were you also her attorney at some point?
I had represented the family on several different occasions.
But after Michael died, you were also with Natalie to obtain some loans as her lawyer, right?
I was not.
No? Okay. But then she filed an ethics complaint against you with the state disciplinary board, right?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Those are never pleasant.
It was not.
No. Okay.
Are you interested in the outcome?
No, I'm not asking about the
Because it was
outcome.
dismissed.
Of course it was. And you
Of course it
answered
was.
something that I didn't ask, but that's fine.
You're welcome.
Now, and after all of this, after her perhaps good deeds, well, was she, let me ask you one more question. Was she a good mother to her children?
If I believe then what I believed,
No, from your observations.
I mean, if you're asking me as I sat here today in this chair, do I believe she's a good mother to her children? That's the
No,
question you're
Mr.
asking me? Or you're asking me, do I
no.
believe she was a good mother
No,
to her children
Mr.
before?
Davis, I just asked you whether you observed her being a good mother to her children.
Define good mother, Mr. Victor. If you mean by feeding them, talking to them, asking them about their day, taking them to soccer practice. Yeah, if it's murdering their father.
Define good mother.
Did she care for them? Did she provide them with food? Did she have a nice relationship with them? All of this that goes into the definition of a good mother.
I believe, under what I thought before, during those times, yes.
Okay.
But I don't believe that as I sit here and think now.
Because she was conniving.
I don't know if y'all know this, but Chris is a lawyer, pretty sure. So that's why this is like doing nothing.
Financially, she somehow was feeding these children falsely, or what are you testifying to? Because she was doing something that was financially horrible. You're saying you're not sure that she was a good mother to these children from your observation?
I believe exposing your children to what has now occurred and what those folks there affirmed is not a good mother.
Okay. Okay. So,
Simple.
well, I guess from your response to the prosecutor's question, I take it that you're not condemning her to life in prison and to never have a chance to become a person that you knew before the financial scheme, right?
I would not invade the jury's providence to make that decision. I wouldn't do it before, and I won't do it now.
Okay.
They
Well,
don't
thank-
need me to give them that decision.
Well, thank you for your sincere answer. Thank you.
Redirect.
Let me show y'all who this dude is.
You were asked
Read this
if
article.
the defendant performed philanthropic acts. Did you ever see Michael do that?
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to
To
that.
this line of questioning, Michael's character is not the issue here, it's the defendant's character.
Fair point. I withdraw.
All right.
I'll give you the opportunity to address the ethics complaint the defendant filed against you. How did that come to pass?
Once she was sentenced to federal prison, she filed the complaint. It was answered. The evidence was submitted to the state bar, and the state bar dismissed her complaint against me as not being found any evidence to support the same. And it was at that time that, as part of that evidence, the investigation included in that was that this investigation for this case was pending at that time. And there was questions as to whether or not what was really the intent behind it, whether to try to intimidate witnesses or not.
In any event, it didn't work, did it?
It did not.
That's all the questions the state has. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Victor?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge.
Would it be possible to have about a 2-minute recess?
Sure.
Thank you.
2-minute
Members of the
recess.
jury, we're going to take a quick recess for about 5 minutes or so. Please do not discuss the case. You may go with the bailiff to your jury room.
Not looking good, y'all, for the defense. I mean, they are not helping themselves at all. Chris just did an exceptional job. They're basically saying, but what, she was a good mother. And he's like, well, I mean, it's like she fed the kids. Yeah. But, I think we agree that now convicted of murdering their father is not a good mother quality. But yeah, Chris did really well. I'm going to guess that Donna Bolt will be last. They called people who didn't testify, so they can do that. I'm going to assume she's going to be last. And if Donna Bolt is last, I mean, it's not going to happen. There's just no way. From the poor presentation of the witnesses for the defense, it was crazy. And think about all 12 of them convicted him in 2 hours. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Yeah, Kathy, I don't understand that. Like, it's like they can't hear, they can't physically hear things against their daughter. And I noticed too during the trial, it looked like Daphne was like, I don't know if it was sleeping or when different things were being presented, it looked like she just was not there, picking up what the prosecution was putting down. But anyway, gotta go to the restroom. Be back. Oh. I think it's a quick vote too. Show them cats. Give me one of them. I'll show them. Nora's wanting me to show you all the cats. Ugh. Says apparently Natalie's brother lost money and refuses to have anything to do with her. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't dove into that one, but I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, while you're listening, if you wouldn't mind, if you're still in here, can you like the video and subscribe to the channel just in case you haven't yet? I appreciate y'all bearing with me. I don't know, probably won't be doing a lot of live streams because, not many Appalachian trials like this occur, but I'm sure we will do it again at some point. Yeah, we're close to 1,000, Linda. Thank you. So close. Oh. All right. Oh. Nora's wanting me to introduce you to Noodle. Noodle said, please like this video. This is my baby. I love this baby so much. I love them all, but anyway. So yeah, like I was showing you, wonder, see if we can look up a little about Chris Davis while we're at it. Okay, so bring up a little backstory here. Let me share a different screen. All right, so this is Chris. Southern Coalfields to take share of $400 million opioid settlement. It says after West Virginia cities and counties reached a $400 million agreement on Monday with 3 of the country's biggest drug makers, WVVA News is learning more about how counties in the Southern Coalfields could benefit. The drug distributors, McKesson Corp., Amerisource Bergen, and Cardinal Health agreed to pay out in response to the local government's allegations that the companies fueled the opioid epidemic in the state. Chris Davis of Wooten, Davis, Hussle, and Johnson represented Raleigh County, Summers County, Monroe County, and Lewisburg in the case. He said the money allows for the settlement to be paid out over 12 years and will be focused in 3 key areas: education, healthcare, and law enforcement. So that's who our dude is that testified. He has, I mean, he's well respected to say the least. Yeah, Stacy, I think he's a attorney for Access Health now. I think I remember hearing that. But good dude, good dude. Let's see what we got here. Let me make sure I'm live. I don't think I am. Oh, okay, cool. All right, they're back. So I had it. Yeah, all the cats are hairless. We have 4 hairless cats. Noodle, Nugget,
Maybe you better get
Miso, and
that
Smidge.
verdict form. I think it's on your bed.
Smidge is the Bambino. She's a weenie cat. She's got real short legs. Hey, thank you, Shards. I hope you liked it. I had fun talking about the Flatwoods Monster. I recommend them all. They're all fun conversations, but yeah, the last one was really fun. It's the first cryptid we've done. See what we got going. But here's the thing.
All right, we continue, please, Mr. Truman.
Your Honor, the state calls Toni McCall.
That's a new name, right? I don't think we've heard this name.
McCall.
McCall.
I will have her.
Oh yeah, and I got premium, y'all. So should be no ads.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat there. All right, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tell us who you are, please.
Toni McCall,
And to help our court reporter, would you spell your first and last name, please?
ToniMCCALL.
Thank you. What was your husband's name?
Curtis McCall.
And when did he pass?
July of 2015.
What did he die of?
Leukemia.
How old was he at the time?
58.
The two of you had some children?
We have 3 children.
3?
3.
What's the mix between boys and girls?
2 boys and 1 girl.
And they are all adults now?
Yes.
If I could have these two marked as states 1 and 2, please.
All right.
Doesn't matter which order.
So far, I'm at 98% chance
That's 1 and
of
2.
no mercy. What do y'all think? I'm gonna say
Let's go ahead and
98.
what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 1 and ask you to take a look at that. You
All right.
recognize that document?
Yes.
What is it?
That was the fake scholarship that my son received.
And in fact, I think what's been marked for identification as State 2. Is that the actual document he received? Or
Yes.
One
Yes.
similar to that?
Yes.
You said fake scholarship. Tell us about that, please.
Natalie called me one day and she said that she was doing a scholarship in Mike's memory and that she was giving one to Dylan because she knew that Mike would want him to have it.
Can you put a time frame on when that happened?
Let's see, my son graduated in 2019 and it was probably, well, it was before they do the program for the kids that got scholarships at the school.
Dude, she created a scholarship for the person she murdered during a Ponzi scheme investigation, gathering favor with the community. So when they saw, they would hopefully say, but wait, like this lady is like Hannibal Lecter level smart, okay?
Which is closer to the end of the year. So this is probably February, March of 2019, March, April, maybe. I don't remember.
Could have been May.
It could have been.
Okay.
It could have been.
It's a while back.
Okay.
Stage 2, that's actually what your son receives, correct?
Yes, but it was big. It was about this big.
Okay.
It was pretty.
Yeah, very pretty.
It was.
Graphically done. Did Dylan ever get any of that money from the scholarship?
No.
Let me shift gears on you a little bit. Your other son's name, what's his name?
His name is Landon Cash, but we call him Cash.
Cash. What kind of relationship did Cash have with Michael Cochran?
He loved Mike. He met Michael in April the year after Curtis passed. So in 2016. Michael immediately took Cash in like one of his own. The whole family did. It was wonderful. You know, I didn't have another father figure for Dylan, but for Cash, I had no worries. Michael was so good to him.
I'm going to object. Again, we're not talking today about Michael Cochran's character. We're talking about my client. I object.
Could the state respond to that?
Sure.
We're not really talking about Mike.
It's over. Dude, it is so over.
Michael's character. We're talking about the loss that this witness and her family experienced because of Michael Cochran being murdered.
The objection's overruled. You may continue.
Go ahead, Ms. McCall.
Cash, that was baseball of that year was when, you know, he got on Mike's team, and it was a wonderful experience. I mean, Cash loved Michael like a father. He was 9 years old when Curtis passed away, and he was 13 when Mike passed away. Cash has said that losing Mike was like losing his father all over again. He was devastated. He still has a really hard time talking about it.
Your Honor, we move states 1 and 2 into evidence, and with that, we have no additional questions this way.
Any objection?
No, sir.
All right. States 1 and 2 are admitted into evidence. Cross-examination.
Ms. McCall, when was the scholarship offered?
Let's see how they're going to tarnish his name now.
The 2019.
Okay. In the spring of 2019?
Yes.
And when was it supposed to be received? For the fall?
Yes.
of-
Yes.
Well, did you know, ma'am, that on June the 23rd, of 2019, the government froze all of my client's assets and she couldn't give you any scholarship.
No, they
whatsoever.
are
Did you know
not.
that? Yes or no?
Oh, Lord.
Yes or no?
There's not a yes or no.
Well,
Answer.
did you know, or do you know?
Then I'll have to say no because I didn't know that. It was hearsay.
Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Anything?
Questions from the state.
Froze that.
All right,
Oh, my
thank you,
God.
Mr. McCall. You may step down. You are excused.
Froze the
Call your next
asset
witness, please, Mr. Truman.
because of the
Or the
Ponzi
state calls
scheme.
Ed Bolt to the stand.
May we remove the exhibit, Your Honor?
Oh, sure. You'll raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat. All right, Ms. Akron.
Sir, can you please state your name and spell it for the record?
My name is Ed Bolt, EDBOLT.
And do you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran?
Yes, I do.
How do you know her?
She was married to my stepson, Michael. She's my daughter-in-law.
And before Michael passed away, what was your relationship like with the defendant?
We love Natalie. We just thought of her as a daughter.
And just yes or no, do you believe that this jury should grant her mercy in this matter?
No.
And why is that?
Well, I have a statement.
Are those notes that you have done yourself?
Yes, ma'am. That'll maybe answer some of that question if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Today I stand before everyone, a man filled with grief, pain, bitterness, and anxiety. My name is Ed Bolt. I am Michael Cochran's stepfather. The grief that I feel is when I look out our window at the deer stand that Michael had put up at our house after one day of helping me do a lot of demolition work. He put the deer stand up and then he installed a trail camera so he could do some bow hunting. He was really excited. How are we to know that Michael would never set foot in it again? I often go there now. I have put in a memorial bench there and keep that site clear of brush so we can just sit under that big oak tree and reflect on what could have been. The pain of no more birthday wishes, Christmas holidays, listening to his plans for the future, all taken away. Michael was always up for the challenges, always wanting to accomplish so much, whether it was starting his own businesses, ambitions to become a pilot, entering tough man contests, or just doing DIY projects around his home. February 11th, 2025 will be 6 years since Michael's murder. A cold-blooded, calculated, unremorseful murder. Michael's murder has been referred to as a diabolical act of evil. I miss him. Hey, buddy, what's going on? What are you up to? Seems like a small thing, but it's the small things that I cherish most. I think of Michael every day.
Where there is life, there is hope. Michael was full of life. When you hear the saying, live your life to the fullest, that image of Michael would be beside of it. Michael was a husband, a father, a son-in-law, a coach, a mentor, a hunter, a fisherman, and a lover of life. He had a tireless work ethic, always willing to help at any time. But most importantly, Michael had integrity. I've used these words, had and was, several times in describing Michael.
Your Honor, I hate to interrupt. May I have, again, continuous objection to this line of
Dude,
Continue, please, Mr. Bolt.
he's objecting to the guy. Oh my God. This is so disrespectful.
Thank you. Why? It's because Michael is no longer with us. Michael died a horrible death, tormented and tortured and deceived by his wife. Where there is life, there is hope. Michael was full of life, but wasn't given any hope. This became very clear in Michael's hospital room. There was full of a lot of people. The nursing staff was going to remove the ventilator tube from Michael. Prior to this, the preacher says, it won't be long now. What did he mean? Where was his hope? We had hope. The nursing staff went to work. All tubes removed. Michael was breathing on his own. Praise God, praise God. You should have seen the look on his wife's face, not of joy, but of disbelief. It was very painful for his mother, who had become overwhelmed with emotion. She was told to leave the room by this preacher because he said she was being disruptive. This is her son. Evil has many faces, shapes, and images. Evil must be held accountable. Natalie Cochran must be held accountable. Life in prison for a premeditated murder may seem fair, but what I think is just would be to take a rope over here to the courthouse,
Oh, no.
throw it over
no,
the
no,
branch of that big oak tree.
Nope.
All right.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, okay. I
So
get it.
let's just send her to jail. Remove her from society. Let the state take care of her. From jail, she will not be able to harm anyone ever again. Should I continue to be bitter and let it consume me? Will a life sentence in prison be enough? This is where the anxiety rises up in me. This diabolical plan has now been brought to light. There is no amount of justice that will bring Michael back. Yes, I have written his victim's impact statement, but I'm not the victim. Michael is. Can you believe that this is the second impact statement that I've had to write about the evil, the lies and deception caused by this worker of manipulation? Natalie Cochran is the face of evil. It appears all to be good on the outside, but what lies on the inside is pure evil. She is in federal prison now doing time where she deceived and lied to Donna and I about her financial scheme, stole money from us and other victims in this community.
I object to any more litigation of money and laundering and financial schemes.
Good Lord. Can you imagine? Like, this can't, I'm not a lawyer, but this can't be good tactics. Can you imagine standing up like, oh, come on, hold on, judge?
Natalie Cochran has never, ever shown any remorse, never asking for any forgiveness, or even said she is sorry. Evil is around us every day. We must stay aware. Was Michael aware of the evil all around him, evil raised her ugly head and took Michael's life. This was an evil act which took place and not the will of God. God never wills evil. Your Honor, don't let another person get hurt. Don't let another family go through this.
Yeah.
Don't give Natalie Cochran any satisfaction. Nothing short of life in prison with no mercy. This would be justice for Michael. And in closing, I'd like to dedicate this statement to Michael. I would like to thank the prosecutor and his team, the investigators for exposing this evil, and to your Honor for remaining on this case.
Shout out Judge
Thank you.
Kirk.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Wow. Wow. Let's see how this goes.
When did you become Michael's stepfather?
1990, Donna and I were married in 1990, August the 20th of 1990. Michael was about.
Keep in mind, I'm pretty sure Ed and Donna have no contact with their grandkids anymore, which is so sad, but that's what people have been telling me.
About 8 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Is it true, sir, that throughout your marriage to Ms. Bolt, Michael did not have any contact with you for about 6 or 7 years in 2000s? Is that true or not?
About.
Yes or no?
No,
No?
I wouldn't say that's a correct statement.
Well, he always lived with you, both of you?
Yes, until he
He's not making this up. This is coming from Natalie. Can you believe this?
started college.
Okay. Is it true that for the last 10 years of his life, he saw you maybe, you and your wife, he saw you only during the holidays?
Well, we saw each other during the holidays for sure, and I'm sure there was times in between.
Well, why wasn't he with you 24/7 other than being in college when he was already working?
Well, Michael grew up. That's what you do. You nurture a child.
Majority of people see their family during the holidays. What is going on right now?
Along, you get them out on their feet and hope that you've done the right thing and made a path for them.
Did he show up for Christmas of 2018?
2018, no,
No.
no.
Was he there for Thanksgiving 2018?
No, we usually had Thanksgiving at Michael and Natalie's house. So he was probably there if we had Thanksgiving there.
Sir, would it be fair to say that all that vengeance is mine attitude is based upon your very limited relationship with Michael because he did not really care to be in your house?
I would say that's an inaccurate
No?
statement.
Okay, that's all I have.
Are you serious?
Mr. Bolt, who was the reason that Michael didn't have such close contact with you towards the end of his life?
Well, Donna and Natalie would always text. I mean, they arranged everything. And what Donna would tell me that Natalie would say, well, Michael's not feeling well. He's not doing very good. But then we would just leave it at that.
So the source was the defendant.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
So now we are learning that you didn't have such a great relationship, but it's of course Natalie Cochran's fault, right?
What is this dude doing? Does he know why we're here?
I would say that's a true statement. Yes.
Right. And yet you're coming here asking for justice, as you call it, against this evil, acting like you've had this wonderful relationship with the man who was doing all these wonderful things around your house. And I'm sorry, sir, but you didn't, did you?
Well, I could point to these shoes that I'm wearing here now. Michael bought me
I don't
these
care about
shoes.
your shoes, sir.
Okay.
Tell me whether
I think
you
we had a very good relationship, being that I wasn't like his father. I was a stepfather.
and yet you're asking
I mean, they better watch where the jury's gonna be like, Judge, can we bring the death penalty back to West Virginia? Like, what's going on?
this jury to give her no mercy,
Yes.
even though you claim to be, well, I take it, very religious person.
Well, I'm not so much a
No?
religious person. I wouldn't put that handle on
And
myself.
you don't believe in power of forgiveness and second chances, do you?
Sure.
Sure. All right, that's all.
Anything, Ms. Aker?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Volk. You may step down. You are excused. Call your next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Donna Holt to the stand.
Here we go. Finally, she gets to speak. Thank goodness.
And we do have a couple of demonstrative exhibits for this witness.
Okay. If you'll raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You may have a seat right there.
Bless this woman.
I object to this, Your Honor. This is to inflame the jury.
Your Honor,
He
these
already
pictures of
objected.
Michael Cochran while he was alive. If anything was inflammatory, it was the photos of his autopsy
Has not
shown during the
been-
trial.
Has not been introduced any evidence. We have absolutely no reason to bring
Dude,
these
he's objecting before she even talks.
exhibits to court. I moved to remove them.
These are demonstrative exhibits, Your Honor. They don't need to be moved into evidence.
No, they are only here to inflame the jury. Nothing.
I don't think I can permit these to be displayed. I'm fearful that the prejudicial value would outweigh any probative intent. They haven't been admitted, and I think that they need to be taken down.
I agree with, well, whatever the judge says goes, but that's sad because she put up pictures and Victor objected to the pictures. Do you understand that the jury has seen the pictures and they're hearing you object to the pictures of this man who your client murdered? And now as your family is claiming that she didn't steal everyone's freaking money. She stole everyone's money. She murdered her. I'm about to cuss. I'm not going to do it. She murdered her freaking husband. Let him have the damn pictures.
Yes, Your Honor.
Of course, the jury can unsee what the jury saw, Your Honor, but I ask at least for an instruction to disregard these.
All right, members of the jury, I've disallowed these photographs, blown up pictures to be considered, so you should disregard them, please. You may proceed now, Ms. Aker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes,
I don't know about y'all, but I done forgot every good thing anyone said on the defense about Natalie. There's no chance.
my name is Donna Bolt, Donna-Bolt. I'm Michael Cochran's mother.
And in saying that, how do you know the defendant, Natalie Cochran?
Natalie Cochran was my daughter-in-law, and we loved her very much. She was married to Michael for almost 19 years.
Could you briefly just explain for the jury what sort of relationship you had with the defendant before Michael passed away?
When they got married, well, she knows this. Michael went off to WVU to go to college in 1999. She was supposed to went to Concord, but she changed her major and went to WVU. Michael Brandon and I went up to Morgantown several times to find him a place to live. I didn't want him to live on campus. So we found a mobile home for him to live in it's like an elderly care mobile home park. And Michael had a 1988 Jeep that he was driving back and forth. And so when he went to school up there, he was going up there to play baseball. But what had happened was that he changed his major a few times, and I guess finally at the end he decided he wanted to be an information technology major, and that was running, cable wire, computer wiring, and that he went to school for 4 years up there. Natalie, she followed him up there. She was supposed to have been staying in the dorm, but next thing I knew, they were kind of cohabitating in the mobile home, and that wasn't supposed to happen. That was not the plan. So what had happened every time we went up to go see Michael, he would say, Mom, he said, you can't come up this weekend. He said, Natalie's family's up here. They're going to ball games. So, we didn't get to come up. And a lot of times when we did get to come up, Natalie would head back home to Daniels, to her family's home. So, we bought this trailer for Michael to go, to live in while he was in school. And, let's see. In the fall of 1999, we paid for Michael's first year of school, fall and spring. And in November of 1999.
I'm sorry, but the witness is rambling right now. There is no rhyme or reason to this story.
He did not just say rambling. Oh my God.
And all of this history of the familiar relationship is irrelevant.
Well, I think that she is setting forth a timeline, and I'll permit it for the purpose of this hearing. You can continue.
Thank you,
Ms.
sir.
Bolt.
In November of 1999, I received a phone call from Natalie. She was at the mobile home in Morgantown, and she said, guess what? I said, what? She said, well, Michael and I got engaged. I said, what? She said, yeah. She said, are you mad? I said, no, let me speak to Michael. And Michael got on the phone, and I said, Michael Brandon, what in the world are you doing? You're not even 19 years old yet. So that right there kind of caused friction between Natalie and me. It wasn't I didn't like her. They were too young, and I wanted them to wait.
Later in life, did you have a more positive relationship with the defendant?
We did, but I'd like to explain a little bit about, when they got married. They got married in May of 2020. Now, what had happened before that May of 2020, Natalie Cochran came.
First of all, it is non-responsive answer. Second of all, I think we've laid enough background here. This is a sentencing phase. This is not a history of the Cochran family, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I object to this.
All right,
Wow.
please move on.
I do have a statement that I would like to read. Okay.
Wow.
Do you believe that this defendant deserves mercy in this matter?
I do not,
Can you tell the jury why you believe she doesn't deserve mercy?
because she didn't give Michael any mercy. She let him lay on the floor for hours and hours at the home. She let him lay on the couch, and she never got him any help. When he did go to Raleigh General Hospital, they put him on the ventilator and stuck Vicks in his
Now
arms.
I'm going to object. We're trying the case, and this witness has no personal knowledge of this.
No, I'll permit it. Overruled. Go ahead.
And then from Raleigh General, she texts me at 10:30 that night, sends me pictures of Michael Brandon. Can I hold him up? Okay.
Michael was sick?
Yes, 10:30 that night. It was on a Wednesday night, February 6th. She said, this is how I found him. Found him in the floor in the kitchen of their home. And then she sent me another picture, and he was on the ventilator at Raleigh General Hospital. And he had tubes all in him, and like I said, on the ventilator. She sent me another picture as the Jane Care
I'm
ambulance
stressed.
is transporting him from one bed to their stretcher to take him on to CAMC. And then later on that night, she sent me another picture of Michael Brandon in the ICU at CAMC on the ventilator. Now, I want you to understand, Natalie Cochran, she texted me. She said, they won't let you come down. She said, they won't let you in at CAMC. She said, only me. She said, but I'll keep you updated. She would, throughout the night, I would text her. Couldn't go to sleep. I would text her, what's his vital signs? What's his blood work? She finally, the next morning, I was able to get up there. But on my way up there, she stopped me and texted me and told me, she said she needed a phone charger for her phone. And then she told me, she sent me to the wrong hospital. She sent me to, there's 2 CAMC. She sent me to the other one. And then finally, I was able to get there on time. When I walked in, Michael Brandon was on the ventilator, laying in his hospital bed. Natalie Cochran was there.
Bye.
I was with her all day long that day. And that evening, that afternoon, she sat over in the corner on her laptop and on her cell phone while I was at Michael's bed, at the head of his bed. She sent me government contracts to my cell phone.
No, she didn't.
And then, she even made a comment that day. She said, I gave him a bath last night and I pinched his balls as hard as I could. And he didn't even respond. And then I heard her say one more thing for that day. She said, I let him lay on the couch for 7 hours. And I screamed at her. I said, 7 hours? What do you mean you let him lay on the couch for 7 hours?
So what about the loss of your son caused by this defendant leads you to believe that she does not deserve mercy?
Well, she's going to say that we never had a relationship with Michael Brandon, but she's wrong. She's a liar. We'd all the time go down there. Michael Brandon would come up to the house.
What a strong woman this is, y'all. I just want to recognize what an amazing, strong mother this is right here. This is West Virginia through and through.
And we would do things together, even before he even got with her. Michael Brandon and I had a really good relationship. We had a close bond. When he married her, she started pulling him away. She wouldn't let us come around or anything. And then she would, like I said, you've heard family vacations with her side of the family. She wouldn't, she never involved us. She never wanted Michael or her to be around anybody on our side of the family.
Is there anything else that you think this jury needs to hear before they make their decision?
Yes, I do. On Saturday, this was he went to the hospital on February the 6th, which was a Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that. She had a good enough relationship to steal over $200,000 from this woman. How about that?
On Saturday, February the 9th, she had everybody around the room. And she said that, they're going to pull the ET tube or the ventilation tube. And they pulled the tube. She thought he was going to die right away. He did not die. He was breathing on his own. Later on that evening, it was myself, my husband, Eddie, and Michael's dad, Mike. And Natalie was there by Michael's bed. And I was at Michael's head. And the little young male nurse came in. And he started doing it's what's called a Glasgow coma scale to see if Michael will react. And see, I'm a retired nurse, so I know this. He would take a lab tube, and he pushed on Michael's finger.
I object to all that medical testing. I really do. This is nothing.
You just shut up.
To do with the sentencing. Nothing to do.
Let the mom talk. Shut up. You already put the nail in the coffin. Shut up.
With her feelings. This is the description to inflame the jury.
I'm going to permit it. This is not technical medical testimony. It's what this witness observed. You can continue.
Y'all look at that court reporter right here. The clerk. It's over.
Ms. Bolt.
Thank you, sir. So the young male nurse, like I said, he was pushing on Michael's fingernail. And then he pushed on Michael's toenail. And Michael jerked his arm and his leg back. Then he went around to Michael's other side where I was standing. And he rubbed his finger, his fist into Michael's chest like a sternal rub. And Michael Brandon raised up out of the bed. And he opened up his eyes. Now, if you look over at Natalie Cochran, instead of being so happy, she looked horrified. Her mouth dropped over.
Any of this. The witness has no personal knowledge of any of this.
what is this dude doing?
Absolutely do.
She was present, and these are her observations, and I think it's pertinent. The court will overrule the objection, and I'll give the
there.
defense a
He
running objection and preserve all exceptions. You may continue, Ms.
He
Ball.
can't
I was
be taking
there.
my help.
I saw it. And what Natalie did after that, we were so happy. We were just thanking God, because I kept telling Michael, I know you're in there. I know you're in there. And then he opened up his eyes. And what the male nurse did next is he walked around the bed and went over to Natalie. And he whispered in her ear, I have to chart this. And Natalie shook her head, yes.
All right, what you're hearing right here? You're hearing the 100% truth. The conviction in this lady's eyes, you're hearing exactly the truth right now.
Later on that morning, we were so happy. We were going home thinking Michael was going to get another MRI because that was what, if there was any changes, he was supposed to get another MRI of his brain. So we were so happy. And about mid-morning, Natalie texted me and she had moved him to another room. She had moved him out of the ICU into just a regular, ordinary room. And we couldn't understand that. The next day, this was Sunday, the 10th of February of 2019. And we were on our way down there. Natalie told us not to come. She said she was going to take him to hospice house. And we couldn't understand that because he should have had another MRI because he had a change in his status. So what had happened now was that we waited all day and Natalie kept saying, the ambulance is coming, the ambulance is coming. And what happened then was Natalie, about 8 o'clock that evening, we waited all day for Natalie to get Michael to hospice house. And 8 o'clock that evening, the preacher, Sam Green from Bible Baptist Church, called us and said that Michael had arrived at the hospice house to come now. It won't be long. So we rushed to the hospice house to see Michael Brandon. Michael Brandon's, his breathing status had changed. They had given him something at CAMC before he traveled there.
Hang on a second. May I approach the witness?
Certainly.
My what? It's 8 pages. Can I read some of it? Well, I told a lot of it.
Let me ask you what that is, Ms. Bold. Is that your victim's impact
It
statement?
sure is, sir.
Okay. Is there some way you can summarize that? I heard you say it was 8 pages.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a lot to say.
That's all right. I don't mean to cut you off at all, but in the interest of time and efficiency, is there some way you could perhaps focus upon the aspect of the defendant's character?
Yes, sir. When she put Michael Brandon in hospice house and we went in to see him, he had already turned ashen gray. The nurse was coming in every 15 minutes, giving him medicine, one medicine after the other. We were crying. Natalie was over there. It'll be okay. He died at 12:18 a.m. on Monday morning, February the 11th. 2 days later, Natalie had a funeral for Michael Brandon. We would ask if we could have this person or that person to come. She would tell us no. So on the day of the funeral, the only ones that were allowed to come was myself and my husband, Eddie, and Michael's dad from Michael Brandon. That's all she would allow to come.
Ms. Bull, I know that you have a statement that you've written, and as the judge said, we know that it's rather long.
Yes.
Could you just summarize that for us, especially with regard to the defendant's character and why you think she doesn't deserve mercy?
Yeah. After Michael died, we tried, we had suspicions and we tried not to, do anything because we wanted a relationship with our grandkids. In June of 2019, McCall, she wouldn't respond to me anymore. And MAC, in August of 2019, he sent me a text and he said, "Don't bother me anymore. I'm going to block you. You don't love us anymore. We know that now." So we haven't had any relationship with Michael's kids since June and August of 2019. After Michael died, after Michael was murdered, Natalie Cochran, like I said, sent me contracts while I was standing at Michael's bedside in February. In February the 22nd and the 24th and 28th, she sent me text messages. She said they are state contracts. She said they have affidavits. This was a total of 3 contracts for an amount of $28,000.
This is not about the financial crime. Bullshit.
She said, because they have affidavits, she said, they will pay you. I guarantee.
Your Honor, I hate to object, and I know that I have a continuing objection, but this is not a summary of what the court asked the witness to do. This is a continuing history of day by day of what has happened. I object to it strenuously.
All right. Perhaps, Ms. Bolt, you can kind of relate things and focus upon character issues. And you can take a minute to review your statement. I see that it's typewritten and it's pretty lengthy. So perhaps you can just pick out some portions that relate directly to the defendant's character.
Okay. Can I go now?
Yes, ma'am.
Since Michael's murder, Natalie Cochran's evil and sinister deeds have caused overwhelming damage and wrought on our lives and so many good and decent lives, lives that will forever cast a shadow of sadness. Michael Brandon was my only son, and I loved him and so adored him. I struggle every day. I struggle every day to make sense of what has no answers. The murder of my son is crushing, and yet I must try and move forward to honor his memory. Today, as we approach 6 years since Michael's murder, February 11th, 2019, we as a family have had to endure the glacial process of prosecuting Natalie Page Cochran for murdering our Michael Brandon while we also mourn his death. To this day, this vile being has showed no remorse, none whatsoever. Natalie Cochran and her family have never said they were sorry. We have no choice but to watch in the courtroom with repulsion as she smiles and banters with her family and friends, just like she doesn't have a care in the world. I was shocked to hear the testimony that Natalie's parents only lost $76,000 and her sister Penny only lost about $50,000. She stole $250,000 from us.
There it is.
And she stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from her other victims as well.
I mean, look at her face. She's just like, lady, why don't you just stop talking? I mean, that's body language.
We, along with our family and friends, have sat quietly and graciously and painfully watched and listened as Michael's good name has been murdered time and time again by those who publicly defend this murderer. Think of the horrific invasion of Michael's in our dignity and privacy. At what point and at what time do we seek sleeping at night? Is Michael Brandon resting in peace? I don't think so. We, as Michael Brandon's mom and stepdad, we respectfully ask this court in the memory of our beloved and precious son, Michael Brandon Cochran, to delay for as long as judicially allowed the day that this quote cold-blooded murderer once again walks among us. In a pure world, light should never shine on that day. Evil, for reasons only evil knows, took it upon herself to steal from us and the world. We take comfort as best we can in believing our Michael, our beautiful, intelligent, kind-hearted Michael, is waiting for us in God's heavenly mansion in the air. We ask this court that Natalie Cochran be sentenced to life in the state prison for the rest of her natural life, with no pardon, no mercy, and no deals. This evil, narcissistic sociopath intentionally and knowingly pre-planned and committed first-degree premeditated murder, stealing the life of our son, Michael Brandon Cochran, at the young age of 38. To the court, Natalie Cochran will speak at her.
Done. I mean, like if she testified in the trial, I mean, they probably would have came back in 20 minutes if they could have. I mean, she's just so forward and strong and just sitting there like, here, I've been waiting to talk for what, 6 years?
Sentencing today because she has to have the last word. The simple truth is that while growing up and even as an adult, this spoiled, evil, narcissistic murderer had seldom, if ever, been denied this which she wanted. The word no was not spoken or heard of in her world. She will try to blame my precious son Michael for her evilness and deceit. Natalie may even shed a tear or two, but we have now come to know that every word coming out of Natalie Cochran's mouth will just be another lie, and her tears will be fake tears trying to get sympathy from your court. Natalie is going to use Michael's children to get sympathy here today. She tried to do that with their testimonies during the trial. Judge, please don't fall for her con. That's what Natalie does. She only cares about herself. She will use, abuse, and manipulate anyone to get in her way. But we know the real Natalie Cochran, the thief, the liar, the taker of life, and the doer of evil deeds. I was told that Natalie Cochran was telling the community that we didn't raise Michael Brandon, that he was raised by his grandparents. That's just another lie. Michael Brandon even told Natalie in his presence and in my presence at a funeral, don't you ever put me in hospice. Michael had seen his grandfather, as his adopted grandfather whom he loved, H.B. Lewis, suffer that way. But what did she do? She went against his wishes and put him in hospice. This has been a very long and traumatic process for us. With all of the court delays and continuances, we have never given up, and we have been Michael Brandon's advocate and his voice. We have been waiting almost 6 years for justice for Michael. Throughout these 6 years, we have had to just sit back and be silent while Natalie gives newspaper and media interviews about my precious son, Michael, and her statements about what happened on February 6, 2019, and the incidences leading up to his death. The media will not try this case. All of the evidence and the proven facts and her conviction are enough to sentence Natalie Cochran to life in prison with no mercy. We've kept quiet as Natalie continues to blame Michael for her evilness that did not stop even after his death. While my son lay on the hospital on the ventilator, Natalie Cochran texted me government contracts on my phone.
That is bananas. Think about that. That is crazy.
Believing and trusting her because she was our beloved daughter-in-law and because we loved her. Natalie manipulated us once again. Michael is not here to defend himself, but we are here. We are standing up for him and speaking for Michael and ourselves and asking the court for justice. We ask that you please, please, no mercy. She never gave Michael any mercy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, cross-examination.
I just have one or two questions. Ms. Bolt, you testified that you were not allowed in the ICU.
She told me that I could not come.
Okay. Did you know that there was only one person allowed in the ICU?
I could have come and stayed in the
Ma'am,
waiting room.
I didn't ask you that. I just asked you whether you knew that there was only one person allowed in the ICU.
I don't believe that, sir.
No, that's not my question. What you believe,
Keep in
ma'am.
mind, this is pre-COVID. I don't know laws, but I don't know this. I'm not going to act like I do.
My question is whether you knew that there was only one person allowed in the ICU.
It always comes from Natalie. No,
Ma'am.
you can't come.
Ma'am, did you know that there was only one person allowed at the ICU?
That's not true, Mr.
Your Honor,
That's not true, sir.
I asked
All
a
right,
simple
wait
question.
till he asks the question. Pose the question again, please, Mr.
Did you
Victor.
know that there was only one person allowed in the ICU? Yes or no, ma'am?
No,
Okay. Now, did you know that your son,
Now, according to Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, where Natalie may have ended up going if she would have pursued her potential blood cancer diagnosis, says 2 visitors are allowed at bedside at a time. Now, maybe they're more strenuous than Sloan Kettering, the place that cures cancer like on a daily basis.
had a living will to go to the hospice and be taken off life support? Did you know that or not?
I know you said he never wanted to go to
Ma'am,
hospice.
did you know that? Or
Did
no?
he tell you that, Natalie?
Your Honor, I'm sorry. The witness is addressing my client. I object to this, and I would like an answer.
All right, pose the question again, and then try to answer the question, please. Ms.
Yes.
And let's just say this: she could go outside and get a Diet Coke while the mom visits. I mean, how many, that's not normal.
Sir.
Ma'am,
Yes.
did you know that Michael had a living will to go to hospice and be taken off life support if need be?
No,
No, okay. Now, you testified that you haven't seen your grandchildren, right? For what, 5 years?
they wouldn't have anything to do with us.
I didn't ask you that, ma'am. I just asked you whether you testified that you haven't seen your
I'm telling y'all, I'm so excited for this trial to be over so I don't have to hear this dude.
children since
The
2019.
grandchildren,
Grandchildren, I'm sorry. Grandchildren since 2019, right?
June and August of 2019.
Okay,
They stopped responding.
okay. What kind of contact did you try to have with them?
Tried to text them and they blocked us.
Okay, how frequently did you text them, ma'am?
When you get blocked, sir, you don't go around them. They don't want to have anything to do with it.
Prior to being blocked, ma'am.
Prior to being blocked, we had a lot of relationships with them.
Okay,
After Michael died, we were trying to keep a good relationship with them.
and so you're telling us that all of a sudden, these 2 children, who in 2019 were relatively young, all of a sudden stopped communicating with you by blocking you?
Yes,
All right. And you attributed to Natalie Cochran,
yes,
who prohibited them from having any contact with you?
yes, what they've been told.
Okay, what they've been told. You have absolutely no clue what she told them, do you?
You don't either.
Ma'am, Your Honor,
Just please, Ms. Bolt, just
Yes, sir,
answer
I'm
the
sorry.
question.
Yes, sir.
you have no clue.
I
what
love
she
this
told them,
woman.
Do you? Do you?
I can
I love this woman.
pretty much
Ma'am.
guess.
You don't know,
I'm not going to answer that yes or no, sir.
Your Honor.
Please answer it yes or no. It's a relatively simple question,
Okay.
Ms. Bolt.
So you asked me. Ask it again, sir.
Whether you, Your Honor, I'll withdraw this question.
All right.
That's all I want.
Anything further, Ms. Akers?
Good job, Victor. Smartest thing you done.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Bolt.
Thank you,
may
sir.
step down. Call your next witness, please, Mr. Truman.
The last witness the state will call is Robert Hinman.
Shout out to Robert Hinman. This was my dude that
Raise your
Let
right
us
hand.
know about
please, sir.
Betsy
Do you swear
Britland.
or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may have a seat.
All right, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Remind us who you are, please.
Robert Hinman. I was one of the 2 investigators on this case. I did the financial crimes investigation primarily.
And you're being called here today to discuss from your investigation the issues of character of the defendant, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
oh, dude, are they about to bring up Betsy?
Tell the jury from your investigation what you what you can enlighten them about concerning the defendant.
I'm going to object and ask that we approach the bench on this one.
Okay. So, Deja, the double true identity, the real identity, the real Betsy was on our Facebook page. So I posted about his story about Betsy Britland. And then, if they bring up that obituary, please be what this is. Oh my God, I will lose my soul from this chair if they bring up that obituary. But we had some people share that Betsy Britland actually went to church with Natalie. And I'm kind of diving in trying to do a proper obituary for her, because her obituary is very sad. She doesn't have it didn't have visitors, and there was a family that adopted her as like a grandma, essentially. A real nice family. I won't say their name. I'm trying to work through and figure out if I can get some pictures of the real Betsy and do a proper obituary. But anyway, the community, after I put that out there about Hinman, they one of the members from the church messaged Dave Brooks from the Facebook community. And I mean, if they bring that up, that's 100% where this is coming from. Oh my God, I will lose my soul if they do this. But they should do it, because it shows exactly what type of person this is. I mean, I don't know who all knows the story. Does everyone know the story here, Betsy? I'm going to share. I guess she's entitled to hear what's going on, Brenda. I'm not sure why she's up at the bench, but I don't really care. I mean, she can hear anything she wants. I don't. It's up to them there, but I'm not sure why either. All right, here we go.
Continue,
Never mind.
please, Mr.
Here's a
Chairman.
link.
Trooper Hinman, the focus here of an investigation was concerning the financial aspect, but you did work on the murder case too, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
Tell a jury what you know about the fake scholarship.
The scholarships that we located during our analysis of records and through our investigation, they were issued at two different locations. One was at Shady Spring High School, and the second location was Independence High School. Those were issued on about May 4th and then May 7th. The second one on May 7th, on about May 7th, that was actually at Independence High School. And in that particular instance, Natalie Cochran called Donna and Eddie Bolt and asked them to take her there to Independence High School to present that scholarship or those scholarships. What was unique about the scholarships in general.
Object on another ground, and we again need to approach the bench on something completely different this time.
Okay. Please bring up Betsy. I mean, that was the craziest thing I've heard this whole trial. Now, granted, there are so many things, but so Betsy, kind of giving a run through, who asked Girl Ryan. So this guy was an investigator on the Ponzi scheme, and they brought him up there to basically show how Natalie was actively involved, and Michael didn't know about the Ponzi scheme. So they showed different text messages of Natalie telling Michael, all right, the ACH is going to be here on Thursday. Betsy says it will. And then that's when Hinman clarified, okay, well, Betsy wasn't real. She was a character that Natalie created that worked with weapons contracts. And eventually.
All right, continue, Mr. Truman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Stage one for purposes of this phase of the trial, what is that?
That is a list of all the scholarships that were issued. Some of those were at Shady Spring and the others were at Independence High School.
And this is after Michael Cochran's death, correct?
It was after Michael Cochran's death. It was the unique timing of the issuance of these scholarships came after Natalie Cochran had been contacted by law enforcement, particularly Lieutenant Bledsoe. So she knew at this point there was an investigation into Michael's death as well as into her the financial doings of the business that she purported to run. So these were actually issued after that.
At the time of the search warrant, officers seized a number of things, including documents, correct?
That's correct.
Did one of them involve the potential sale of the business TSG?
Yes, there were documents suggesting that.
From the documents that you seized under the federal search warrant, what were the terms of that, of the sale?
To put it in context, we executed the search warrant on June 25th of 2019. I was not on scene at the search warrant. Lieutenant Bledsoe called me and said they had discovered some documents, and he asked.
Now I'm going to object on hearsay grounds, and second of all, I'm going to object perhaps differently on the relevance ground. What does that have to do with the sentencing?
You got to give it to him. He goes the whole time. I mean, he's not quitting, that's for sure. You got to give it to him.
Of the defendant at this point.
We're going to get to that.
Well, Lieutenant Bledsoe is here, I see. If we need for him to testify, he can. And presumably, Mr. Truman will get to the point described. So let's go forward. I'll overrule the objection. Continue, Mr. Truman.
The business was to be sold based upon documents seized under the search warrant.
Natalie Cochran was attempting to sell off this business at that time.
What was the gross price for the business?
She was attempting to sell the business for $4.9 million to a local businessman.
And a local businessman, did they do anything to further the sale?
Yes.
A deposit, that kind
Yes.
Tell us about that.
This entire thing occurred over a 6-day period prior to the execution of the search warrant. Her and this individual had met and he agreed on buying a partnership interest of this business. And she contacted him a day after, 1 to 2 days afterwards, and said that she needed a deposit placed on his purchase interest, a $50,000 deposit. And he wired her $50,000 the day before the search warrant was executed.
49% of the business that the purchaser was buying, what kind of assets was the purchaser purchasing?
This buyer was led to believe he was buying a 49% interest in the business and assets that had been described to him that were associated with the business. He had been told that there was a fleet of vehicles, that there was an airplane that was an asset of the vehicle, and other business assets that they had at that time, the business location on Eisenhower Drive, and any other assets associated with the business.
Essentially, what was this business worth?
The business did have assets. As I described before, the business on paper was real. They had a building that was bought for business purposes. So it was not worth $4.9 million. It would have been worth whatever the building and any true assets that did not have any liabilities or debts owed on those assets. That's what it would have been. So it would have been, I don't want to place a number, but well under $50,000 that he paid as a deposit on the business.
Did that sale go through?
No, it did not.
Tell us why.
I received a phone call to verify if I had uncovered any documents relating to the sale of this business. And I said, no, my side of the investigative team was out doing interviews of witnesses and investors. I drove to this business person's house to speak with them and see if what the nature of this business transaction was. I spoke with him over the phone, and he explained to me that he had been contacted by Natalie Cochran approximately 7 days prior, and told him that she believed that, or she had been told that he was interested in buying the business, and then she facilitated that transaction.
So the $4.9 million deal that never got fully executed, what time frame are we talking about?
This was June 25th, 2019, when I made contact and told this individual not to wire any more money to her.
And that's because why?
Because we had determined at that point that the business was fraudulent, the contracts were fraudulent, there was no money, there was nothing for him to purchase.
And that was a substantial time after Michael Cochran's murder, correct?
That is correct. That is conduct that continued on after his death.
That's all the questions the state has.
All right, cross-examination.
No bets. Yeah, it's all right.
Mr. Hinman, would you agree with me, sir, that the sum total of your testimony is that after Michael Cochran's death, the defendant, Ms. Cochran, was committing the acts of fraud?
She continued the fraud after his death, yes.
Haven't we established that already? That she was a fraud? Have we?
I believe we have, yes.
And we have conceded that.
You think?
True?
As far as I'm
does-
concerned, yes.
What does your testimony add to what the jury already doesn't know?
We didn't specifically talk about post-death conduct, and we're talking about her character and the fact that she continued to deceive people following the death of Mr. Cochran.
Dude, she sent his mom contract information while her son was laying there dying.
Which is a character trait.
Right. And based on that, you are asking the jury not to give her mercy.
I am rendering no opinion in any regard regarding that. I'm just describing her post-death conduct.
So you're just describing that.
Tell you what, the defense sure had opinion. I mean, they damn people to hell. They, they blamed it on War Dogs, the movie. I mean, blamed Michael.
In vacuum. Yes, she's a fraud, right?
She's a fraud, yes.
She's a fraud. That's all. Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Truman?
State has no further questions and no further witnesses.
Well, Judge, I'm going to move to strike this entire testimony based on my previously expressed objection and the objection that this testimony
I
has
strenuously
absolutely
object.
nothing to the sentencing
We get it. We get it. You strenuously object.
phase of this case.
No, I think it does. I think it is relevant.
Man, Judge Kirk, I want more of Judge Kirk in my personality. I mean, I'm too impulsive. He's just such a perfect human. Like, everyone that watches this from out of state, Judge Kirk is like, if you was to form a West Virginian in a lab, it would be him.
As to character, I'm going to overrule the objection. I'll preserve your exception.
Judge, may I have one more objection
Sure.
on the balance of 401 and 403?
All right.
I got to take a phone call. I'll be right back.
Upon performing the balance provided by Rule 403 of the Rules of Evidence, the court determines that the probative value outweighs the prejudicial nature of the testimony, and the court will allow it to stand. You may step down, Mr. Huntsman.
Yeah.
You say the state has completed its case, Mr. Truman?
Yeah, that is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Is there rebuttal, Mr. Victor, Mr. Selden?
Your Honor.
Very well.
No rebuttal, Your Honor.
All right. Members of the jury, you have heard all the evidence for this penalty phase. I'm going to send you shortly into your jury room so that the attorneys and I can settle on some matters.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but we request a closing argument or
Oh,
statement.
yes, I'm going to afford you a closing argument.
Thank you.
I'm going to send you into your jury room so that we can discuss some matters and line out things for you. We are not yet to the deliberation phase or stage of this part of the case. So please do not discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. You can go with the bailiff to your jury room now. All right, what I wanted to do is see if the defense has any instructions to offer. I have an instruction that has been provided by the state. It's unnumbered. It simply is titled Penalty Phase Instruction, 3 paragraphs. I've touched on this earlier. It seems to set forth very simply and straightforwardly the situation that the jury is dealing with pertaining to the recommendation of parole eligibility or the.
Let me fast forward here, see how far we are past this here. Okay, they're just meeting with.
And that's the one additional word should be parole.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did not hear that.
All right. If you'll see Mr. Truman's instruction, and you'll look at the bottom of the second paragraph that ends and never be eligible for, period, we should put the word parole in there. It'd be good if you're.
Okay. All right. We're going to do another poll, y'all. Let's see here. So we're thinking under an hour. Let's do a final poll before we wrap this up. I think they're going to go back and deliberate. I think it'll be a little while, so I'll probably cut off. I don't know if I'll do a reaction to the mercy ruling. I might. I don't know. What do y'all think? Let's see here. All right. Let's see what we got. All right, I'm gonna bring up mercy, no mercy. Let's see what our final tally is, but I think the prosecution just brought it home, like they've been doing this entire time. I think Natalie's defense attorneys they threw too many wrenches in it. I get letting your objections be known, but over and over and interrupting the parents is a very bad look. So overall, I'm going to vote. I mean, I'm going to say they go no mercy on it. I mean, I just think hearing from them last and the victim blaming and his mom and his stepdad too, even though he got a little dark on his, but hers especially has just sealed the deal. So I think that combined with nobody giving accountability towards Natalie that testified for her, I think that I don't think there's any way they pick no mercy. I mean, I just don't. But if they do, again, I'm okay with whatever their decision. It's a hard decision, but that's what I pick. But yeah, so let me make sure we're not going to miss anything here. Okay, yeah, they're back to the flag eagle. So anyways, yeah, be sure if you're on here, you haven't liked the video, we got 65 people, 51 likes. Please give this video a like. Subscribe to Creepalachia on YouTube. We have TikTok. We've got Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I may or may not do a reaction to the verdict. I mean, I'll try to hop on here real quick. I'll make a thumbnail just in case. But yeah, either way, be sure to check out the channel. Let me know what you think. And if you listen to the podcast, one big thing, if you could review the podcast on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to it, I mean, it would be huge. It's going to help the show get found and help more people listen. And hopefully we all get to bond and have a good time. I mean, not a good time, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you got to talk about this stuff. So thank y'all. I'll see y'all later at some point. Thanks.